In this lecture, we will examine sexuality and gender-related issues in a geographical context. This topic is important to geographers to gain a better understanding of the ways in which gender intersects with and affects the lives and activities of people in specific places. Two important facets of identity are sexuality and gender. Both are social constructions. Historically, men and women have been classified as such because of the chromosome makeup of each having either two X chromosomes in females and an XY chromosome in males. However, we are finding out that this is not always the case and that some people have an unusual mixture of both. Therefore, it is becoming clearer to us that we can no longer simply categorize male and female into two classifications. To complicate the issue, gender role conveys the idea that there are certain social expectations, responsibilities, or rights associated with femininity and masculinity. And if we are female, we are supposed to act feminine, and if we are male, masculine. However, in many cases, neither side acts absolutely true to their gender. In addition, a person's sexual identity may or may not be related to her or his biological or chromosomal makeup as well. Transgendered persons, for example, do not identify with the gender assigned to them at birth. Up until the 1970s, geographers gauged sexuality by the heterosexual norm. That is a binary vision of the sexes based on clearly defined masculine and feminine gender roles. However, today a number of geographers study the ways in which diverse sexualities influence the configuration and use of space. For instance, a geographer would be interested in how sexuality affects public space. Public space is a kind of commons, a space intended to be open and accessible to anyone, but for the homosexual it is not. Gays and lesbians usually must hide, suppress, or ignore their identity and occupy or use different social spaces because the heterosexual norm promotes the idea that those who are not heterosexual are socially deviant. Another example is gays in the military and the Stonewall Rebellions in 1969, in which the gay rights movement began due to police interference in gay establishments. The map on the left, which is now outdated, shows the status of same-sex marriage and their legal alternatives in the United States from 2010 data, which demonstrates the politically charged nature of sexuality. However, in a landmark opinion, a divided Supreme Court ruled on June 26th that states cannot ban same-sex marriage, even though some states are trying to fight the ruling. The U.S. is now the 21st country to legalize same-sex marriage nationwide. Married same-sex couples will now enjoy the same legal rights and benefits as married heterosexual couples and will be recognized on official documents such as birth and death certificates. The United States this year joined an exclusive club. Only a small fraction of countries worldwide, 21 in total, have marriage equality nationwide as shown in the map on the right. Gender roles vary geographically and can influence the division of labor. For example, in Ghana, women manage a wide variety of activities including wholesaling and retailing in urban markets, but in Tanzania, men are expected to be the main economic providers. The factors that influence gender roles are numerous but include ideas about the skills women and men possess, as well as attitudes about empowerment and who should have decision-making authority. The mass media and other religious, educational, political, and corporate institutions strongly reinforce gender roles. Furthermore, long-standing customary practices within families and communities continue to shape gender roles. For example, women in Saudi Arabia are allowed to own cars but are not allowed to drive. Many geographers pay close attention to gender gaps, which is a disparity between men and women in their opportunities, rights, benefits, behavior, or attitudes because they are good indicators of gender-based inequalities. One way of examining the gender gap is to use the Gender Gap Index, a measure developed in 2006 to help assess how effective different countries have been at closing the gender gap. The index is based on a mixture of economic, political, educational, and health-related data. The closer to 1, the more narrow the gap. In other words, a value of 1 would indicate gender equality rather than a gap. This map shows the geographic differences in gender equality. Sweden has the narrowest gap at 0.81 and Yemen has the widest at 0.45. To calculate the index, male and female enrollments in schools are examined, as are labor participation rates. Please pause the video and answer the following. How might you explain the large gender gaps in Africa, Southwest Asia, and India? In your own words, using the text as a guide, be thorough and specific in your answer.